Weapons is in theaters now, and I recommend watching it. Diane and I saw it over the weekend. It's fun, it's freaky. Watch it in the movie theater. However, I want to talk about movie theater etiquette because I noticed horror movies in particular are notorious for rude moviegoers. And I've experienced it all, from drunk girls to rowdy kids. And this wasn't the worst of the worst, but these days I just have no patience for this kind of thing. So as Diane and I were walking to our seats, it was during the previews because I wanted to get popcorn. So the theater was already dark, so we're looking for our seats. And once we found our seats, this guy from the row behind us had his foot going through and onto the armrest. And that's really gross, but I looked at him and I said, "Excuse me," as in, I'm not gonna spell it out for you, but move your foot. And it took him a while, but he moved it. He apologized, so that's fine. But then, him and his date were jibber-jabbering in Mandarin during the entire previews. And I don't care what you think, but the movie starts when the previews start. There are the ads before the previews, and then there are the previews when the theater goes dark. So if you're seeing Maria Menounos, fine, chit-chat, but once the previews start, that's when you should be silent. But these two were having full-on conversations, not even just whispering, "Oh, I can't wait for this movie. Oh, I really like her, blah, blah, blah." They were having full-on conversations in Mandarin behind us. And it was just so annoying. And especially because I like the previews as part of the movie, especially for stuff like Black Phone 2 or The Conjuring Last Rites. And they just would not shut up. And we were trying to hint at them, "Shh, shut up, shut the F up." But I feel like when you shout into a void, people think it doesn't apply to them. But then when the movie finally started, this is where I draw the line, but they were still talking, and a woman 4 rows forward even said, "Can we all be quiet now, please?" And there were even 2 girls who bought the seats next to us. They were all comfy in their blanket, but at some point they just moved to a different section because they just didn't want to deal with it. So these two just kept talking behind us. And I finally turned around and said, can you two go talk outside, please?" And they just looked at me with wide eyes and blank stares like they didn't know they were being rude. What the heck? But they chose not to go outside, so they finally shut up. But honestly, if you're going to a movie, you're paying $15 or more, and you want to have a full-on conversation, why go to the movies? Why not go to the bar or get some bubble tea, or I don't know, take a walk around the park, anything but the movies, because you want to be quiet, you want to be silent. Now, I don't think you need to be totally silent during a movie because there's going to be parts where you want to cheer, you want to applaud, you want to laugh, you want to get into it, but that's not having a full-on conversation. What is so important that you need to talk about when this movie costs multi-million dollars to make, but what is so important that you need to talk during the movie? So just go outside. But anytime this stuff like this happens, I can feel my fists start to tighten up, and I just don't want to deal with that. So if you think that there are rude moviegoers who are just not going to change their way, they just don't care, I recommend just going to theater staff, asking if you can exchange your tickets for another showing, because it's really worth the inconvenience. There's a saying that you only get one chance at a first impression. It's the same with movies. You only get one chance to see a movie for the first time, and that's your first impression. No matter how many times you watch after that, you only get that one chance to watch it for the first time. So you want it to be a good experience. And for me, going to the movies, and especially horror movies, are a good escape from reality. It's escapism from the true horrors of the world. And it just upsets me that people go in and they want to disrupt the movie, especially when the atmosphere matters, the dialogue matters. I mean, this should be for any movie. It's not just horror movies, but for whatever reason, I just noticed that you get the most rude moviegoers when you go to watch a horror movie. But I just have no patience for this stuff. So when you shout into a void, people think the rules don't apply to them. So I'm glad I finally turned around, made eye contact with them, and said, "Can you two go talk outside, please?" And they just didn't even apologize. But you don't have to put up with that. Just either deal with it or go to theater staff and see if you can exchange your tickets for another show, because you don't need that. All right, rant over.